Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar, Targeted Recruitment Marketing with OpenPosition. My name is Andrea Cousins and I'll be moderating today's event. Before we get started, I'd like to go over a few items so you know how to participate in today's webinar. You're listening in using your computer speaker system by default. If you would prefer to join in over the phone, just select telephone in the audio pane and the dial-in information will be displayed. You'll have the opportunity to submit text questions to today's presenter by typing your questions into the questions pane of your control panel. You may send your questions at any time during the presentation. We'll collect these and address them during the Q&A session at the end. Now I'd like to introduce Anthony Gentile, Managing Partner and Director of Business Development at Caton Direct.
Thank you, Andrea, and thank you to everyone for attending today. I see we have a bunch of our current clients online today, so thank you for joining us. And I also see that we have a bunch of non-Caton clients online too, so welcome, and hopefully by the end of today you will be Caton clients. So thank you again for joining us. Real quickly, just a quick background to those of you who are unfamiliar with who we are. We'll go through this very quickly, I promise. Caton's been in business for 14 years with an exclusive focus on healthcare recruitment marketing. That's all we do. We have just over 300 healthcare clients nationwide, mainly hospital systems. You can see a few of those logos to the right of the organizations that we do work with. Again, my name is Anthony Gentile. I'm the Managing Partner and Director of Business Development here at Caton Direct. So I've been here since day one. So tons of knowledge and expertise within the space of healthcare recruitment marketing. So happy to share a lot of that with all of you today. So enough about Caton. Let's talk about you and the problem that I know everyone on this call is facing today. Otherwise, they wouldn't be on this call. So what does everybody here really want? What are the needs? The needs are really based on highly experienced, highly qualified candidates, OR nurses, ICU nurses, ED, nurse practitioners, physician assistants. That's really what everyone's problem is. It's not new grads, it's not inexperienced candidates. You're getting plenty of those already on your own. That's not what the problem is. And why do you need all of these really highly qualified, highly skilled candidates? For all of the obvious reasons, right? It's going to reduce your turnover. You're going to be able to reduce your agency spend and your overtime spend because these are the folks that tend to stay longer, better quality patient care, better working environment. So tons of reasons why you want to engage highly qualified, highly skilled candidates right in your backyard. So that's what you want, but here's the problem, is that in order to reach these people, you still really only have these traditional strategies, which are all really focused on advertising, and they're completely ineffective for reaching this core talent pool of experienced, qualified candidates, which unfortunately is by far the largest pool of talent out there. So if you take a look at some of these strategies that you're currently using, and you recruiters on the line, you're all too familiar with this. For some of you hiring managers, this is why the problem exists. So you have untargeted advertising, whether that be on Google or on Facebook or social media or online, print, whatever it is. It's really untargeted. It's not reaching the right people, and the people that it does reach are really active job seekers. You have your career site, and a lot of organizations and a lot of you on this call, you do have a great career site, but if it's really a destination for active job seekers, so it's only valuable when people are actually getting to your career site. By and large, it's not doing anything to proactively go out into the universe of highly qualified, highly experienced talent and bring them into your talent community. It's a good resource when people finally do get there, but again, by and large, that's mainly job seekers. You have your talent pool, so I know a majority of the organizations here have an existing ATS system, which is great, and it probably has a talent pool feature or a talent community feature on there, which is good. The problem with that is that, the records in your talent community get very old and very stale. People move, they change email addresses, they change phone numbers. A nurse with 2 years of experience in med-surg today, 3 years from now, has management experience or has moved into a different department. That's nothing. Your talent pool is never going to account for that because those records get stale. They're not doing anything to update any of that information. And certainly your talent community is not doing anything to proactively bring candidates from the outside universe into your talent community. It's only marketing to the people that are already there. And by marketing, let's call it what it is. They're really just doing email marketing. They're not doing anything other than that. Job board postings, certainly I think everybody here is all too familiar with job board postings and the inefficiency for reaching highly skilled, highly qualified candidates. Again, probably good at generating interest from job seekers, unskilled professionals, new grads, but that's not really what the problem is and not really why you're here today. The other problem is something we call the stress loop. And you recruiters on the phone, you're going to instantly identify with this because we hear this all the time. And for you hiring managers on the call, this is a way for you to kind of put yourself into the shoes of what the talent acquisition team feels. So if you look on the top, you see you have a hard to fill position that's posted. Well, what do the recruiters do? Well, because every year, year in and year out, the company renews the job board contracts, or now it's kind of baked right into job distribution within the applicant tracking system. They push all these jobs out to the job boards, right? The more job boards, the merrier. That's kind of what everybody thinks. But what happens? The candidate flow for that position is predictably low, probably non-existent, because job boards aren't reaching the right people to fill these hard-to-fill positions. So what happens? 10 days go by, 2 weeks go by, there's no candidates in the pipeline. Hiring manager calls up the recruiter and says, hey, we got to get some candidates. We need to fill that position. We're spending a lot on overtime. I'm looking to kind of maybe replace some of these staffing company nurses or these travelers, so let's get some candidates. So the recruiter gets more stressed out. What do? They keep doing more of the same because they don't have other tools. They do more postings. They continue with the agencies. Now the recruiter might start sourcing, which is not really what they want to do. So they're scouring LinkedIn. They're scouring resume databases, which is totally not what a recruiter wants to do. Now 3 weeks go by and 4 weeks go by and still no candidates are coming in. And finally, the head of HR gets the call from the CNO or the hiring manager, which is the most awkward call to receive and certainly probably not comfortable to deliver to the HR folks over there. So what happens then? Everybody's stressed out. Recruiter works endless hours. Finally, weeks down the road, they fill that open position. And when they finally sit back, catch their breath and say, okay, let's tackle this problem here. I don't want to live in this stress loop. I want to have a talent pool on demand. Just when they think they have time to do that, another hard to fill position is posted and they're right back into this stress loop. And the point here is this, that the recruitment team and the talent acquisition team is always going to be mired in this stress loop unless the underlying problem of not having a sufficient talent pool on demand is addressed. And that's where recruitment marketing comes in. So the solution, forget about Caton for a second. The solution is this concept called targeted recruitment marketing. And a lot of you may have heard of it, and some of you may have not heard of it. It's not a new concept. It's been around for a long time. In fact, our friends in the consumer marketing world have been doing this for decades very, very successfully, and it's gaining a lot of interest among talent acquisition professionals and specifically among healthcare institutions. And Caton's been doing targeted recruitment marketing for 14 years, since day one. So what is recruitment marketing, to make sure we all are on the same page here? Recruitment marketing is a strategic approach to consistently attract a defined audience through the use of valuable, relevant, and personalized messaging. It's highly targeted to every single person in your talent pool. So think of the greater area around where you are. There's 40, 50, 60, maybe 80,000 registered nurses, for example. How are you reaching all those people? The only way to do that is through a dedicated recruitment marketing strategy. And why is it effective? Because good marketing and good recruitment marketing is personalized, it's relevant, and it's repetitive. So personalized. There's no sweeter sound in the English language to a person than their own name. So the extent that you can personalize your messaging and personalize the content directly to each candidate, there's tons of research to back up the fact that personalized messaging is always going to increase response and conversion rates. It has to be relevant. People only care about themselves. And I think what you think, if you sit back and really think about the advertising strategies that most talent acquisition teams use, whether it be job board advertising or Google advertising, it's really all about the job and it's all about the institution. And it may not matter to that candidate. It may not be relevant to them. It may not be what they're looking for. So it has to be relevant and it has to be repetitive. Good marketing is something that is done all the time. It's an ongoing process. Think of what your healthcare organization does to market to the patient population. They're constantly doing radio ads, TV commercials, billboards, advertising everywhere all the time, so that, God forbid, somebody in the community needs the services of a hospital, they think of your organization first. That's what good marketing is all about, and that's the same approach that needs to be taken to engage and reach highly skilled professionals. You have to constantly stay top of mind. So we know what you need. You need these highly qualified, highly skilled professionals for all those obvious reasons that we stated. We know what the problem is. You can't reach them through your traditional strategies. And now we know that this thing called targeted recruitment marketing is the way to solve this problem. So how does Caton do it? What's our bent on recruitment marketing, and how do we solve this problem for you? So we have a service called OpenPosition. And OpenPosition is a fully managed marketing campaign for all of your open clinical positions. It's highly targeted, it's fully branded for your organization, it's personalized, so it's recipient specific. And the goal is to source highly qualified, interested candidates directly to your recruitment team or your sourcing team. And the result here is that recruiters can really get back to focusing on selection and not so much on sourcing, which is really what recruiters want to do. They want to select, they want to interview, they want to hire. They do not want to be in the stress loop. They do not want to have to be doing sourcing if they don't have to. So this is what OpenPosition allows our clients to do. So it's a process. Step one is, well, if we're going to be doing marketing, who are we going to be marketing to on your behalf? So we have something called the Caton Base, and it's a database of over 8 million healthcare professionals that we've been building for 14 years. Every nurse, every doctor, every allied health professional in the Caton Base, and it's fully optimized for recruitment purposes, for direct communication purposes. We have a whole team of people here at Caton Direct whose sole job is to curate the Caton Base. That's all they do. Obtain data, cleanse data, optimize it, and make sure that we are reaching the people who we need to reach to make your recruitment marketing campaign successful. We have tons of different data points on these candidates, so we know who they are, we know where they live, their home phone, mobile phone, email, license type, years of experience, specialty designations, education, tons of different data points on these candidates so that we can refine our marketing efforts even further to make sure that we're honing in on the right person. So, again, we have 8 million healthcare workers nationwide, but for your organization, you don't want to reach 8 million people nationwide. You want to reach a subset of that population right in your backyard and market your jobs to them. So depending on, let's use nursing, for example, because those are where the most persistent ongoing needs are. Depending on where you are and what metro you're in, there could be 40, 50, 60, or even 80,000 registered nurses in your backyard. That's who we would target. So step one is identifying your core audience out of the Caton Base. Step two is, now we know who we're going to target. Well, how are we going to reach them, and what are we going to tell them? So we target market these candidates in an ongoing fashion, and we use a lot of different communication tactics to reach this audience. We use email marketing that's personalized and branded. We use direct mail marketing that's personalized and branded. Voicemail broadcasting, digital display advertising, programmatic marketing. We even use live calls. We have our own call center, believe it or not, where we'll actually call candidates directly at home in the evenings to tell them about your organization, tell them about your open positions, and create awareness and get them excited about where a career with your organization could go. It's not a sales call. It's not a pushy call. We're simply calling to educate people and make them aware of these opportunities that they were previously unaware of, regardless of which tactic we're using. And we use multiple tactics throughout the course of the year to reach these candidates on your behalf. It's all fully managed so that we're doing everything over here. There's nothing for your organization or your team to do. It's all branded, it's all personalized, and we do everything. So step three is, remember, step one, we identified who we're going to target. Step two is how are we going to reach them and what are we going to say. And step three is a call to action. And this kind of is one of the secrets to our success over here. We design and develop these landing pages. We actually call them the High Nancy landing pages because they're all personalized to the candidate. So if we're reaching 50,000 nurses in your market, for example, we're essentially creating 50,000 unique candidate experiences. And I'm here to tell you today that the idea of the candidate experience is not overblown. It is critical to have a very positive candidate experience. Otherwise, you will never be able to convert highly qualified, highly interested candidates. So this right here, presenting the personalization to these candidates, is the secret to that type of candidate experience. So they're personalized pages, they're fully branded for your organization. But most important here is where our expertise in healthcare comes in, because we understand healthcare better than anybody in the recruitment marketing space for sure, and we understand the mindset of a highly qualified, highly skilled candidate. We know that if we market to a candidate and drive them to a call to action that says, okay, if you want to start the conversation process, the first thing you need to do is apply for a job, we know that 99.9% of the time that candidate's going to leave and you're never going to hear from that candidate again. We know that because we've been doing this for 14 years. So we include a much softer conversion point on these landing pages, and that's why we get the high conversion rates that we do. So whereas you might ask a candidate to apply for a job on Indeed, Career Builder, LinkedIn, or Monster, and most of them won't, most of the experienced candidates won't, when they come to these landing pages and they see that, okay, for me to express interest in this opportunity, it's going to take me 10 seconds of time to just fill out a few form fields and submit that information over to you. That's how we're getting candidates to convert and getting those interested candidates your way. So it's by making it very simple and very easy for that person to express interest in your opportunity. Step 4 is we measure and adjust, measure and adjust, measure and adjust. So we've identified who we're going to target. We're targeting these candidates. We're driving them to those really cool, personalized, high Nancy landing pages. And where do you access all this information? How do you stay clued in as to the results of this campaign and access those interested candidates? Well, you have access to something called Caton Portal, and you and your whole team will have a login to the Caton Portal where you'll be able to get high-level metrics on your campaign, response rates, click rates, how many people we're targeting. You can see all the response information in there. And you can kind of get a sense of how our team over time is optimizing your campaign on a monthly basis to make sure that we're learning from what we're doing and using the different tactics to reach people in the right fashion. Within the Caton portal, you'll now have access to those interested candidates. So as we market to your talent pool and we generate awareness and interest and drive people to those landing pages and they say, I'm interested, I want to have a conversation, I want to talk to somebody. There's 3 ways in which you can get that information. The first is recruiter notifications. So anytime a candidate goes to the landing page, fills out the form, says, I'm Mary Smith, I have 12 years of ICU experience, I have an MSN degree, I was a manager for 4 years, and whatever other pertinent information we capture, as soon as they submit that information, you and your recruitment team can be notified via email in real time so that you can contact that person, should you desire, immediately. And typically the fastest you call back, the more likelihood you are of engaging that candidate and pushing them down the funnel. So that's one way. The other way is you can actually download all that information. So if there's 50, 100, 200, or however many that month we generate, positive results we generate on the campaign in real time, obviously you don't wait till the end of the month, you can go download all that information in an Excel file. You'll get their first name, their last name, their home address, phone number, mobile number, email, years of experience, license type, specialty. That you get all of that information. You can download it into Excel and incorporate that into your workflow, whether you upload that into your ATS, or if your ATS has a CRM feature or a talent community feature, you can upload that information right there. And finally, we have this app called the Candidate Stream, which is baked right into the Caton portal. What you can actually do here is, rather than download the candidates into Excel, you can see all of these candidates through this stream, and there's a rendering of it here right on the screen right now. So all you have to do is click on one of these candidates. It'll give you information on them, like I mentioned before, all their contact information and their background. And all you have to do is click contact, and it'll automatically populate an email message to them. We include email templates in there to make it super simple and super easy for you to just select a template. You can modify the template however you see fit, and then shoot the email out to the candidate and start the communication process right there. So literally within a couple of seconds, you can express interest in that opportunity and engage that interested candidate. So what are the results? What should you expect to get from a targeted ongoing recruitment marketing campaign? Well, you're going to get more candidates. Remember, we're reaching 100% of your talent pool. The active job seeker pool is about 8 to 10% of the entire audience. So only a fraction of candidates are responding to those types of advertising strategies. And since you can't advertise everywhere, as it's impossible to do, you're really only reaching a fraction of those active job seekers through whatever advertising channels that you've decided to post on. So you get more candidates with recruitment marketing, but probably more important is you get better candidates. Remember, we're only reaching and marketing to people that have the qualifications and skill sets for your open positions. I mean, how many times do you open up your ATS and you see the applicants in there and you say to yourself, what business did this person have applying for this job? They're totally unqualified. They have no business expressing interest in this opportunity at all. And the reason for that is because those positions are posted out in the universe. Indeed, CareerBuilder, LinkedIn, anybody can see that. And most of those applications make it super simple for a candidate to say, apply to every single job. Most of those candidates are not drilling into the individual job and reading the qualification levels or anything like that. They're just applying to every single job on the page. And that's why you're seeing these candidates apply for jobs that have no business applying for them. And finally, you get less stress. So rather than waiting 3, 4, 5 weeks to generate interest and getting those uncomfortable calls from the hiring managers, you're going to build a pipeline of talent over time. That's what good recruitment marketing is all about, and that's what we'll do for you. So that when these positions do get posted, you could at the very least tell the hiring manager, okay, we're going to do everything we need to do to get more candidates, but we actually have 3 warm people in the hopper. Let me send them your way first. So you can start with these, and we'll work to get you more candidates so you get a lot less stress. And finally, I think this is the most important part of what OpenPosition is. OpenPosition is not a software. We are not selling you a piece of software for a couple $100,000 and telling you, okay, here's your software, you figure out how to use it. Good luck, go hire somebody, train them on how to use it. If you have a question, don't bother calling us because there's no phone number. We have videos on the website and tutorials, and you can just in your time, you can figure out how to answer your own questions. OpenPosition is a service, meaning that we do all of the work for you. We design the campaign strategy. We have that great Caton base of 8 million healthcare professionals. All of the marketing tactics are included, the mailers, the emails, the live calls, the digital ads, the landing pages, all included, access to the Caton portal and metrics, all included. And you're also going to get a Caton team here that's led by a client strategist. And this team of people who you'll have monthly engagement calls with to go over results, go over response. We educate you on how we're optimizing the communication process and how we're optimizing results for you. You have a team of people who really care about you and care about the results of your campaign, who you have 24/7 access to reach out to your team and ask questions. So that's the difference between selling software and selling service, which OpenPosition is a service. So I think we're all wrapped up for now. I see that there's a ton of questions coming in. If we don't get to all of them, and I know that we won't in the time frame here, here's my contact information here, so if anybody wants to reach out, feel free. So, Andrea, let us know if we have any questions coming in.
Yeah, thanks, Anthony. Let's get to some of these questions. So as a reminder, you can still submit questions through the questions pane, and we will get to them either now or, as Anthony said, in a follow-up. So here's the first one, and I think you kind of just answered this a little bit. What work do I need to do to use OpenPosition?
Good question, and I think we get asked this a lot because what you see is there's the organizations that are selling recruitment marketing products are really selling just that. They're selling a product. So most organizations who've had demos from them walk away scratching their heads like, okay, for all this money, you're basically just selling me a piece of software and I have to do all the work. So to answer your question, what work you need to do is after we set the campaign up, which takes a couple of weeks, right? We're going to want to get some information from your organization. We build out all the creative materials and we set up the campaign. We do all the work. we do all the outbound marketing. We're driving leads and interested candidates into the pipeline. The only thing we require from you is to get on those monthly communication calls, and it's something that you're going to want to do. You're going to want to be on those calls with our team so that you can get further educated as to what we're doing and how we're optimizing and give you feedback. So you don't need to do anything other than commit to us that you're going to be on those monthly update calls to learn more about the campaign.
Great, thanks. Here's a common one. Doesn't my ATS do this?
That's another common one. I hear that all the time. I think that over the last couple of years, what you find is the applicant tracking systems of the world are trying to get into the recruitment marketing business as well. So you have all that data in your ATS. So now the ATS is starting to sell recruitment marketing strategies or CRM. They might call it CRM or talent communities. And the reality is they're not doing this. I mean, they may be marketing to the people that are in your existing talent community or in your ATS, but they're not doing anything to proactively go out into the universe of 8 million healthcare professionals and drive interested candidates and build your applicant tracking. So they're not doing anything to proactively target those people. And by marketing, I mean, let's call it what it is, they're really just sending emails back and forth to candidates, not really doing marketing.
Right. Okay, here's the next one. Can multiple recruiters have access to the Caton portal?
Yeah, that's a really good question, for sure. So anyone who's engaged in this campaign, whether you have multiple recruiters, talent acquisition, whoever you want, will have their own access into the Caton portal where they'll be able to access all those metrics on the campaign and download those responses, engage with those candidates. So yeah, it's not just one seat. I know that and that's usually, I think the reason this question gets asked is when you buy software, you buy something called a recruiter seat, and different types of software have different ways of saying it, and essentially it gives you one access point. Every single person on your team has access to the Caton portal. We don't charge additional fees to have multiple people in there.
Great. All right, here's a good one. Where do you get your data?
Where do we get our data? Wouldn't you like to know? Yes, no, I'm just joking. We've been curating our database for 14 years, and we have well over 300 sources where we obtain data from. So tons of publicly available, tons of private institutions where we obtain data from. And then, the idea of big data, right? That's been all the rage for the last few years. And the reality is we've been involved in big data for over a decade before people even knew what big data was. So obtaining great information from well over 300 sources, and believe me, there's thousands and thousands of sources of data out there. And over 14 years, we've either bought them all or researched them all. And I'm here to tell you that 99.9% of them are garbage and useless. And we've culled it down to the few hundred sources that we know are good quality, clean sources of raw data. So obtaining that raw data, then doing all the magic that we do on the enhancement and optimization process, and then of course partnering with our big data firms to make sure that we're constantly learning more about the candidates that are in our Caton base.
Okay, thanks for that. I think we've got time for a couple more here. Is Caton Direct an RPO?
No, we are definitely not an RPO. And it's funny because we get that question all the time. For all of you on the call who know what an RPO is is going to go to your C-suite and convince them to fire the recruitment team and let them come in and take over. We are definitely not an RPO. Our job is to make your recruitment team and or your sourcing team more efficient. We want to do the marketing function to drive interested, qualified, highly skilled candidates directly to your existing team so that you can engage them and you can recruit them and you can hire them. We are not an RPO. We're not looking to come in and replace a recruitment team by any stretch of the word. So yeah, it's all about making your existing team that much more efficient, not an RPO.
That's great. Thank you. I think we're really out of time now, so I'm going to wrap up here and say thank you to Anthony and thank you to everyone for attending today's webinar. Since we didn't have time to get to all the questions, for those of you who we didn't get to, Anthony will reach out to you one-on-one. And if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to him directly. We will follow up with an email including a link to view a recording of this webinar so you can share it with your team. So on behalf of Kate and Direct, thank you for joining us today and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Take care.